Welcome everybody to another edition of TEW 2020 as we're continuing our WCW 2004 save as we're heading towards WrestleWar. Sorry for the slightly later than usual, stuff last week, but, just had one of those weeks where sort of the old booking brain goes a little silent and no ideas, so here we are. But anyway, actually had a good time. I went to 2 wrestling shows this past weekend, so that was good. Got me a little remotivated. But anyway, we're at Nitro. We're live from Albany, New York. We got 15,000 people. Let's get rolling. As we start with our pre-show match, as Elite Skipper, Jonathan Toro, and Sean Stasiak defeat the Air Paris, Blitzkrieg, and Dustin Rhodes in 15-8. When Skipper pins Paris with the overdrive, this gets a 65. Dustin Rhodes gets a 64, Blitzkrieg gets a 46, Air Paris gets a 69, Sean Stasiak gets a 57, Jonathan Toro gets a 62, and Elite Skipper gets a 52. Again, strong win for the heels there. Just, a quick pre-show match for people who won't have a ton going on this week. Then we go to our opening. Well, actually, our actual opening is, it's been confirmed by WCW.com throughout the week that our main event tonight will be Chuck Palumbo and Ric Flair teaming up to take on Shane Helms and Jeff Jarrett, as Jeff Jarrett has made a deal with Shane Helms that we don't quite know yet. Now, just put this over, quick, 1 minute, put everybody's, renders on the screen as this gets a 74. Then we go to our opening match, which is in about that subpar wrestling and a little heat. Keenan Sharpe defeats Yang at 7:28 by submission with a 63. This gets a 64. Yang gets a 54. And again, fun little back and forth match. Yang gets some, high flying comeback moves, but, Sharpe, fights back, hits some, martial arts kicks, hits a quick suplex and locks in a submission. And sort of, I haven't made this obvious, but I guess I'll make it more obvious. Is basically, this is every week is a sort of wacky new submission, Kimura, arm lock, knee lock, some sort of crossface, putting over, Sharpe's just sort of submission / martial arts, master who has walked his own path. And this gets a 63, Yang gets a 54, Sharpe gets 64, like I said, solid stuff. And then post-match, Sharpe, says basically gets runs, this is how you walk the path, others haven't. Some have walked the path of nepotism. Because the reality is, Ray Jr., you're never the underdog, no matter how much you talk about it. You're living the high life in the Tony suburbs of San Diego, thanks to your father. Wrestlers had to toil in the dingy underground of professional wrestling. Well, you were walking you were in big arenas in Mexico all over when you couldn't even drink. I'll prove to you and all of these fans in this arena the proper path to follow is behind me, because not all of us can be the sons of famous fathers. Walks away, 72, solid promo by Sharpe, Sharpe's actually a good promo. Remember, for those of you, or something, this is Corey Graves, doing basically, sort of, not quite deluded, but not like a cult leader, he'll more a sort of quasi, cultish, but not really, but also, it's kind of like Punk's, character when he was leading the, oh god, now I'm for this Creative Society, but not quite, but, sort of mix of all that, and then just because, that's a fun thing to do. But this gets to 72, like I said. Then we move forward to a backstage promo with AMW as they cut a promo saying, they're locked and loaded to win the World Tag Team titles at WrestleWar. And, Jet in London, you're in our way, so sorry about your damn, nope, sorry, I'm bad. This, wrong team. See, this is what happens when you don't do some booking. You forget your own angles. Anyway, says, we're locked and loaded to finally take care of the Heart Legacy at WrestleWar. And once they're out of the way, we're on to the World Tag Team titles. It doesn't matter who have the titles after WrestleWar. Sorry about your dumb luck, but we're taking them back. 63, decent promo. And then we go to our next match, which is a quick match as Jordan Cole defeats Amber O'Neal in 5:59 by pinfall at Trouble Wrestling and causes some crowd heat. That's mean, but it gets a 54, which is actually a little, Cole and Amber are both sort of our second tier of women's wrestlers, plus they didn't have a storyline, so I should have thrown the secondary women's storyline on this, but what can you do? Cole gets a 53, Amber O'Neal gets a 48, this gets a 54 overall, and then post-match Cole celebrates 2 at 55. Then we go backstage where we see basically the cameraman's walking. They see Booker and the Triumvirate making a deal. Booker basically, is with Charmel and says, look, I've always been on your side. So because, I was, look, I had to deal with my own BS in this company, but I persevered, and now I'm a five-time world champion, and I've got my queen beside me. But tonight, you know the deal I want to make. Awesome, you're facing RVD. Take him apart. Rip him apart. Make it so that he's even going to get to WrestleWar to face me. And then, with him out of your way, after all, he walked out, he was always given, awesome, Storm. Not you kidding, because you were always here. But remember, he was he was always somebody's special boy in Philly. Well, you were doing all the hard work. Awesome starts up to Booker and was like, we've had our fight before. I whoop your ass again. Grandma was like, look, Booker was being led astray before, but he's on the righteous path now, and he's with you guys. But take Van Dam out for us, and then there'll be a clear path for you guys to get back up to the top. And Booker's like, dig it. And then we start, then they start to all walk away as cameraman sees it all. This gets a 75, solid stuff. Booker looks really good, and sort of still is due to diluted angry heel gimmick. And Awesome actually looks good, angry, and even Kidman sort of being with Abraham on his arm also looks well. This gets a 75. And then we go backstage, and we see Kanyon entering Bischoff's office, and as a quick spoiler, you're going to see a lot of this. Basically, Bischoff making some matches because, well, gotta make him somehow. Gotta confirm him somehow, basically. So, Kanyon goes in Bischoff's office, and, he's like, Eric, look, Ric's talked to me, and I'm trying not to go off the deep end. He's saying to me, it was not WCW's officials' fault. We were not getting what we deserved because of other people in the Horsemen. But I'm looking at the WrestleWar card, and Kane's on it. A former world champion can't even get a match on the pay-per-view. What's going on, Eric? What's going on? And Bischoff's like, Kane, you gotta be aggressive in this business like a shark. You gotta be always moving. You can't rest on your laurels. And I understand, when Jarrett, took out Douglas, that made things a little convoluted, but I've got you for it. Want a big match? Prove yourself to prove that you deserve to be at the top of the card. Fine, because there's somebody else who currently has their dance card empty for the pay-per-view for reasons I don't even understand, and I'm not going to walk in that graveyard to try to get an explanation from them. But you want a big match? Fine, a big, huge, first-time match on pay-per-view. 2 world champions meet. You and Vampiro, one-on-one. Kane's like, yeah, fine. I always, I was always telling Rick that I could have been world champion, but he was telling me Deadpool had the title, so not to bother with it. We had our own stuff going on. But no better than Kanyon, so I'll take him out. Great. But I can't just give you the match. There has to be we have to make it a reason. But if you team up with the man who beat you at Starrcade, Eddy Guerrero, next week in a big tag team match against Vampiro and a partner. And if things go well in that match, I'm not saying you have to win, but if you team up with Eddy, you get the match, you get the glory, you get your chance at victory. Ken's says, Ken's a little nervous because obviously Eddy did beat him at Starrcade. But he's like, I'm going to prove nobody's better than Kanyon, and I can get past my past issues. I'll team with Eddy. Fine, no issues. As long as he doesn't have an issue with me, I got no issue with him. I'm going to prove nobody's better than Kanyon. So let's just go ahead and pre-book that. And yes, this is a convoluted way to match, kind of. But here we are. And this gets an 83. So, not bad. Then we have our match, as in the never-ending Hart Legacy A&W feud over who's going to be the next team to take on for the tag titles. And both had decent runs of the crowd, but did have much heat. James Storm defeats Teddy Hart in a 55 by pinfall with an 8-second ride, following Aaron from Chris Harris. This gets a 74. Storm gets a 71. Teddy Hart gets a 66. So again, back and forth, fun match. But in the end, Harris gets involved. They hit the death sentence on Teddy. Then Storm hits the 8-second ride. 1, 2, 3. Heels get the victory, as this gets a 74 overall. And post-match, the AMW celebrate to a 63 as the crowd boos that, of course, they did what they did. But building up some heat, and did I actually make that match official for WrestleWar? No, I have not. So, yeah, we'll also make that match official. So, tag team match, Hart Legacy versus America's Most Wanted. in a basically, what's basically a number one contendership match. Then again, backstage, we see Fox and Colt, Angel Fox and Nikita Colt in Bischoff's office as, he's looking bemused. Fox points out that, Colt lost her title shot, and then she didn't even beat me, in our last match we fought to a draw. So why the hell does Colt even think she deserves a title shot? You can give the title shot to whoever, but I know sure as hell Colt doesn't deserve it. Colt says, Angel, this blonde woman, I forgot to look up a German insult. Sorry, guys. This blonde woman thinks she can just waltz in here and think she's a title shot, but she didn't actually defeat me. I've got ice in my veins, so I can walk in against Cartier and take that belt off that dumb cow once again. Bischoff, again, looks a little amused when Cartier walks in and says, okay, I'll find both. Fine. I know I can retain my title against either of these competitors, and I'll take them both on at WrestleWar. So I was like, thank you. Sign the match. I'll do the paperwork. It's on. Triple threat match for WrestleWar. Cartier versus Colt versus Fox for the World Women's title. Again, they, fought to a draw, and there we go. And then we have a quick promo with RVD, which gets a 68 as, it's a quick, 3-minute backstage segment as he says, awesome, bro, we've had our wars. It's not my fault that you left the barbed wire city and became a fat chick throw just because you thought you were going to become a big old star and get your name up in bright lights. So you want to act all big and bad now, but dude, I'll kick your ass. And Booker, this is going to preview what's going to happen to you at WrestleWar, man. I actually, okay, yeah. Also, obviously, I thought I confirmed it last week, but maybe I meant to do it and just forgot. But anyway, it's Booker versus RVD. Whoops. Oh, okay. I'm dumb. I heard, but never mind. See, this is why you double check things. Anyway, this gets a 68. Perfectly solid, quick promo. And then we have basically a quick little video say that Jeff Hardy will be in action next week as the announcers put over his big WrestleWar match that has been officially signed versus Morningstar, and a continuation of that feud. As of course Hardy, has been, basically helping out the Guerreros in their feud with Deadpool, and of course he was also helping out, Sean O'Hare when he was teaming with the Deadpool before. So, fun stuff. This gets 74 is just basically, a picture of Jeff Hardy in action next week. Then, in an extremely short match, Mesias defeats Sabu in 236 by pinfall with Crucifix Powerbomb. So what happens here is, the announcers sort of actually, put over Sabu as, this extreme icon who, unorthodox style might actually have a chance against a monster like Mesias, but unfortunately, not so much. It's basically what happens is, Sabu does, all this stuff. He throws the chair at Mesias just sort of ignores it. He does the triple jump moonsault. Mesias just throws him away. And then it's, just rip, tear, clothesline, choke slam, crucifix powerbomb, good night. 75. Just a huge quick squash for Mesias as he looks like a complete badass as he gets a 92 and Sabu gets a 45. So of course Mesias goes to take apart Sabu, hits a crucifix powerbomb onto him on the outside. Eddy Guerrero runs down, with a chair, and Mesias sort of steps back, walks away, basically, having received the message from Morningstar not to get involved quite yet with Guerrero. And then he takes the mic as he says, basically, which gets a 92, which is good. Sabu, this man is a hardcore legend. We've had our wars before all over this world. But what's important is I hold this world championship because it proves I'm the best wrestler in the world. You may be a monster, Mesias, but I fought monsters before. I fought fantastic wrestlers who know moves that nobody else has seen. I've dealt with brawlers who make me bleed buckets and high flyers who took me to go limit. But growth values means that WrestleWars, but man, that you can have all the message you want and all the profits and the plaudits and everything else. But the only message you'll receive is I will still be world champion, SA, after I get done with you. You see, just sort of guard at him as, we cut to commercials. As this gets a 92, really building up that, so that's good. As again, we move forward. as we go backstage, where Boris is with the Helms legacy, and basically, Helms Boris tries to get some answers from Helms while he's teaming up with Jarrett tonight. He says, it's only fitting that the greatest U.S. champion of all time teams with somebody like Jarrett because we both deserve better in World Championship Wrestling. Because a punk like Palumbo looks like what the head office wants, but it's men like me who have true talent, who basically held the United States champion all last year, have to survive by scraps. But at WrestleWar, I'll prove Palumbo is a myth, and my men will be tag champions and prove the greatness of Helms' legacy. 70, solid promo. Not quite that good, only because I actually rated everybody. And so WrestleWar also at that match officially. It's going to be Palumbo versus Helms. And then, okay, I should have maybe set this up a little bit better. Oh well, shit happens. Come back to commercials, and basically stuff is a little bit awkward because Palumbo and Flair sort of made things better, but they're also sort of awkwardly hanging out, and Flair sure says, "Okay, look, business is business, kid. You would be one hell of an athlete when I took you on, which is why I wanted your help. And also, let's be honest here, that woman over here, she is smoking. So you can't beat that with what I said. After all, I'm a jet flying son of a gun. I'm going to be a jet flying son of a gun in another year, another 10 years, another 100 years. I'm still on this planet. And Nature Boy will show you how to party tonight after we kick some ass." And, basically, Palumbo, sort of nods and steps up and was like, "Rick, I have a lot of respect to you, like anybody in this business should. But this better not be a swerve." Flair's like, "Diamonds forever," so is Ric Flair. "And I'm always going to be the Jordy's player in the game, kid. But tonight, I've got your back." And they sort of again, face off and shake hands, and then we cut to commercial as this gets 100, which is real good because it builds up everybody. Gets Palumbo over, gets Flair over, and yeah, Ric Flair is great. Palumbo's great. And then, wow, okay. This is a lot better than I thought it would be. Okay, an exceptional match. Rob Van Dam defeats Mike Awesome in 11:55-57 by pinfall with a 5-star block splash, and of course Booker T. Okay, so basically what happens here is, as the whole basically triumvirate comes down to ringside with Awesome, and the referee basically sends him to the back. RVD comes out, and it's just like a ECW style brawl, as they both basically tell the ref let things go. Chair shots, we get a table bump. Awesome goes for the Awesome Bomb. RVD gets out of it. RVD hits the Damator, but Booker T, basically comes in and goes after him. Ref again throws Booker T out. Awesome again goes up top, goes for the Awesome Splash. RVD gets his knees up, hits the Van Damator, goes up top, 5-star frog splash, big win. As he gets the win, RVD gets a 92. Mike Awesome gets an 83. Good stuff. And of course, Booker and RVD Booker freaks out as RVD celebrates, and Awesome just sort of recovers on the outside. And then we go backstage, where we see Ray Jr. entering Bischoff's office, and JB Noble's already in there, as we hear basically complaining that he's not getting the rematch versus AJ Styles, the new Cruiserweight champion. Bischoff, explains to him, "Look, we've got limited dates on Liger as he's a big star in Japan, but next week, Liger's here, so..." And then he points over to Ray. "What are you doing here, buddy?" Okay, and Ray's like, "Did you hear what Sharpe said? Look, yes, my father was a great wrestler, but I had to wrestle. I had to start from the bottom just like everybody else. So he's disrespecting me. He's disrespecting my legacy, and he's disrespecting this title. So I want him at WrestleWar. I don't care that he's not quite high enough in the rankings. I want his ass." And Ray's like, "Actually, this works out great. Next week, it's going to be you, Ray. No, yeah, it's going to be Liger, you, and Styles against Noble, Ebony, and Sharpe. And Noble, if you somehow get the pin, I'll add you to the title match. But otherwise, Ray, you got your title shot for Sharpe." So we set that up for next week, which I won't actually set up because I don't do pre-booking for TV shows just because it gets in my way. But we will book 2 big matches, as it's Ray Jr. versus Keenan Sharpe for the U.S. title. Talk about your super push. And I think in sort of like the final match I have to like actually set up, we also have AJ Styles officially versus Jushin Liger in a match for the Cruiserweight title. So yeah, sort of a loaded show. As this gets 78, as Noble does well, Ray Jr. does well, and Bischoff is Bischoff. So, and then now it's main event time. Okay, not quite. Okay, so basically what happened here is there was no chemistry on both sides, which is unfortunate, but I mean, I guess they're not going to team up that often, so at least I know. Palumbo and Flair don't work well, Helms and Jarrett don't work. Okay, I mean, at least I had no plan for them being, either of these guys being together in stables in the near future, so, just have to remember that for a future, like, your Metro main events, is not to team these guys up. Well, that's okay. Anyway, and about that great heat and decent wrestling, Palumbo and Ric Flair defeat Shane Helms and Jeff Jarrett in 2027 when Palumbo pins Shane Helms with the full throttle, which is sort of like his angle slam to powerbomb type of move. Just look it up, you'll see it. Anyway, back and forth wild match, but Palumbo snatches Helms, gets the huge victory. It's not quite a flash pin, but it's still a quick victory as this gets an 82. And like I said, Palumbo and Flair don't work well as a team, and Helms and Jarrett have zero chemistry, which is unfortunate. As Flair gets 75, Palumbo gets 72, Jarrett gets a 66, and Helms gets a 62. But yeah, like I said, this is why this, but those ratings are only because there's no chemistry. So this gets an 82, and of course, there's, Palumbo is celebrating, with Stacy on the outside. Flair and Jarrett are brawling. Jarrett has advantage on Flair, and Jarrett goes to get gets out his guitar as he goes to Flair with it, nail Flair with it, but Palumbo runs in, pushes Flair out of the way, and takes the Caban shot from Jarrett as the crowd, pops. And that gets an 85. So yeah, just Palumbo being the good, heroic babyface, pushing away the legend, taking the shot himself, and there you go. As this gets an 85, as the show itself finishes with an 88. So yeah, real good show. I mean, not quite like a super show, like a super duper show, but still really solid show. We push forward, most of our stuff from, for the pay-per-view, set up everything. Obviously, there's some stuff going on that will be officially set up, next week. But yeah, that's, nothing nothing too crazy as this stuff continues to load up. So let's look at Raw Dead. So we had Michaels defeating Matt Classic, Scott Hall defeating Matt Hardy, Kevin Nash, Triple H, and Chris Jericho. Okay, defeating Val Venus and the Radicals in 87. Kane defeating Raven, Undertaker defeating Billy Gunn, Brock Lesnar and Chris Benoit teaming up to defeat Big Show and Steve Austin in 99. Okay, yeah. Yeah. Oh, and yeah, La Parka, his short-term contract ended. He's not that over in the US, so, no reason to actually use him anymore. As a random still independent wrestling in Massachusetts. Okay. Yeah. So, yeah. Actually, how is the Miz doing? Miz is doing, okay, not terrible. And, yeah, by the way, Harris Brothers will never be hired by me, ever, ever, ever. And as a side note, let's look at New Japan is doing real quick. Okay, so main event is Shono and Bat, which is Kiya Muto defeating Ricky Jun of Ricky Choshu and Blue Justice, which is Nagata. And, yeah, Azuka. So there we go. Let's see, anything else interesting? I mean, that 8-man of the Silver King and Junior Silver Kenshin would be fun. Let's see. Oh yeah, Christine Vito defeating Big Vito in a match that could main event any Thunder in 2000 WCW. Oh yeah, and Roderick Strong is in New Japan, which I think I pointed out before, but not quite. But yeah, storylines wise, we've got Booker and RVD at an 86. We've got the tag title feud at a 78. We got Cruiserweight Fun at a 78. We've got Eddy and Mesias at an 88. We got the Horseman feud at an 83. We've got the Tag Wars at a 74. We've got Helms Palumbo at an 82. We've got the Goldberg versus Triumvirate at a 71. We got Hardy Morningstar, Vampiro at an 85. Whoops. Well, yeah, that's fine. And then we've got Sharpe Ray at a 78 and the women's title Showdown at a 63. So fun stuff. Again, just because people have talked about wanting to see this, we'll look over the big shows. So again, for Elemental. So again, for the weekly house shows, we had Tony Cones and Kento Suzuki defeating Claudio and Rick Michaels in 46. Kai Graves, who is a region, defeating Chance Prophet in 49. Killswitch defeating Mark and Toltec, who is another region, in 63. Johnny Fine and Rothschild defeating Shane Ballard and John Phoenix in 60. Keith Walker defeating Ray Gordy to retain the North American title. Shane Ballard and Onyx defeating Nan and Cassidy O'Reilly to retain the tag titles. Ray Lippin defeating Lazarus to retain the Junior Heavyweight title. And Jason Cross defeating Adam Jacobs to retain the Wild Side Heavyweight title. And then on TV, we had Shane Ballard and Lazarus defeating TNT. Onyx defeating Ray Gordy. Tank Tolan and U.S. Center defeated Keith Walker in the Vanguard. And Jimmy Ray defeating Claudio in a 53. And then in our Women's Dove Fed, we had their monthly big show, which was main evented by, wait, I think I already showed you guys this. No, I did not. No, yeah, that's sorry. We had a weekly show, which was Miss Molly and Tracy Brooks defeating Sidney Rogers and Madison Claire in a 37. We had Lee Hosaka defeating Mischief in a 44. We had Beth Phoenix and the Pink Girls, which is Becky Bayless and Nanny Hart defeating Alex Danger and Counterpunch, who is Ronnie Jonah and Vanessa Harding in a 46. We had Christine Busick defeating Lacey in a 59, and Kim Nielsen, the Future Desire, defeating Bonnie Maxon, the Future Reign, in a title match in a 51. So fun stuff. But yeah, that's about it. I hope you enjoyed this. You should be back to a more regular schedule, hopefully starting from now on. But that's it for now. So if you enjoyed this, go ahead and give it a like, comment below on what you're enjoying and not enjoying, and subscribe to the channel for lots of TEW 2020 content, including this series, my MLW series now entering 2006, my WCW 1994 series now heading towards Spring Stampede, and my WWE 2013 series where I've got random number generated goals for a variety of wrestlers. That's it for now, so talk to you later, and adios.